Hi, my name is Brian Stephen Adams from the Knightime Project. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this deep dive video series on creating hybrid orchestral music using musical analysis and templates to help overcome writer's block. This is season 1, episode 1, and in this episode we're going to have a look at the graphical template I've provided and discuss the general song structure. This is a walkthrough of how I go about composing using the template, so it's not cast in stone, and sometimes I'll make reference to the template, sometimes not. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. Hello and welcome to this walkthrough of what I've called Epic Template number 1. These are screenshots taken from the session in Studio One and I've placed them into an Excel spreadsheet which is downloadable from the link below. So let's start from the beginning. So we have a tempo set at 120 BPM with a time signature of 4/4. As mentioned in the previous video, it would be a good idea to start by mapping out your song structure into the DAW. So in Studio One we have the arranger lane and I've mapped it out in there. I'm not too sure what is available in other DAWs, but you should have something similar. Now I have to say that the template is it's really loose. You can play around with the arrangement as much as you want to. You can make the bars more even, you can shorten them, you can remove sections if you don't want to, you can lengthen them if you feel like it. Nothing about the template is cast in stone, so when you come to input it into your DAW, just put whatever lengths you feel. I mean, what it might be actually a good idea to do this as it is here, and then you can before you start populating it with the blank MIDI regions, then you can have a look, especially when it comes to, for example, this is a 16-bar intro, and then you've got a 3-bar break, and then you have unusually an uneven, it's a 15-bar pre-A section with a rest, and then you have another 15-bar A section. I would probably, when I come to write my new piece, make these even, so I'll probably make them 16 bars. But yeah, certainly you can play around with the arrangement before you start inputting all of the blank MIDI regions, and then you can go from there. So let's walk through the notes really quickly. This track I've got here is based loosely on Hans Zimmer's Time. That's what the original composer sounded like that he was trying to follow, he or she or they were trying to follow. Now you can go and have a listen to Hans Zimmer's Time if you want to, and you can follow it the same way as the original composer did. I doubt very much whether I will, but it's entirely up to you. Let's just have a run through very quickly of what we have here. So we have, like I said, a 16-bar intro, and then we have a 3-bar break. I haven't colored it here, but we've got a 3-bar break here, and then we've got a 15-bar pre-A, a rest of a bar, 15 bars of an A section, then we have a rest of a bar, then 12-bar B section, we've got a rest for 2 bars, and then we have an 18-bar mid-break. Again, this can be lengthened or shortened. We've got a 2-bar break, then we have a variation of the A section of 16 bars, and then we have a variation of the B section for 16 bars. And then we have a variation again of the A section, so A section variation 2, and then we have a huge build to the end. Let's work from left to right. We've just got here a hand-panned counter melody in the lower C3 region, and then we've got the chords used for the chords using the strings are the same as the intro to the piano intro, and the whole section is gently rising in its intensity. And then the set of notes in the B section, we've got here the ostinato high strings change their upward chord direction, and this is matched by the choir, upward direction in change. The French horn, slight change in counter melody from the first section. Then what else have we got? This mid-break, I believe that this whole mid-break is a whole pedal point all the way through from the start to the end. We've got a gradual rising of the bass in its intensity. We've got a 60th note repeated. 60th note percussion is repeating and getting more frantic, and then we've got a chord change halfway through. And then we've got no other notes. Oh, yeah, no, sorry, we've got notes in the B section. So we've got the females, and this is obviously a female choir, sing slightly different melody than the previous section B. And so everything here is building to a finale. And what have we got here? We've got French horn, plays a different melody here, and the choir takes previous French horn lead. This is just being able to take the lead line and pass it over to another instrument, and then everything is staccato to emphasize the taiko hits. Obviously, the instrumentation is working very closely with the percussion and vice versa. In this intro section,
we've basically got a 2-chord piano sequence. Now this 2-chord piano sequence is going to form the foundation of the piece. Now you can make this whatever chord sequence you want, so you can have it just have a 2-chord sequence, 3, 4, 8, whatever. So the chord sequence, because it will form the foundation of the track, you kind of like, this is where everything kind of gets set down. If you've watched the previous video, you may have remembered that I'm quite finicky when it comes to the percussion. So I'm going to have a look from the percussion section top down. So the percussion, as you'll see here, now there's quite a few lanes. We have 37 lanes of percussion that I was able to identify. Now you certainly don't have to put in 37 lanes of percussion if you don't want to, but you'll be able to see as we scroll through how the percussion starts off quite scant, and then as the track goes through, it just keeps building and building on itself. You've got here this mid break sort of thing where you have this pedal point, and then the percussion just ramps up completely as it comes down to the final section here. You certainly don't have to be as meticulous and as finicky as this. I would have to say, if you can just have a look, and again I mentioned this before about copying and pasting, you will be able to see from here that these sections, they're just more or less a copy and paste of the sections that preceded it. I mean, feel free if you wish to, when you're inputting this into your DAW, if you want to be finicky and put these in the same way I did, then feel free to do that. And then you could technically copy this section and paste it over here. What would give the emphasis, as you can see here, would be the kind of like the whooshes in. This is a reverse heavy, what did I call it? A reverse heavy whoosh, which comes from one section of percussion, which is just at the tail end of this A section variation 1 going into the B section variation 1, and kind of more or less the same going from this last B section variation 1 into the A section variation 2. But it's essentially a copy and paste, and more or less. Well, there's some slight differences. That's what I was saying before about changing things up. So you don't want to keep it static. You kind of want to build the intensity of the piece you're working on. So we've got a few lanes of strings. A lot of the time you'll see that in the notes I've got the string ensemble and then the individual string parts themselves. With regards to instrumentation for strings, if you're familiar with this, then you obviously know your first, second violin, your viola, your cello, and your double basses. You don't have to use individual instruments if you don't want to, but I will be using the individual instruments as well as padding them out with the string ensemble. It just kind of helps to fill out the whole track. Maybe it's a bit too much. We'll see. You can see here again, you've got a gentle introduction of the strings. Nothing is coming in heavy, especially when you come to this, like the ensemble part, which is quiet and it just outlines the basic chords, but it's building up, and then it has this break, and then things start to happen in this pre-A section until it finally then builds into this A section variation, and what's called A section variation 1 with staccato strings. And you'll be able to see that certain instrumentation is only in there for the beginning, and then doesn't appear anywhere through. So you can use a single patch with key switches to do that if you wish. I tend not to, because I find it easier just jumping in and putting another patch on with what I want instead of mucking around with key switches. But my system can handle it. If your system can't handle it, then feel free to just use key switches, and then you don't have to necessarily have as many lanes for your strings as I do. And then in the miscellaneous section, there isn't really much that comes into the beginning. I mean, we've got 7 bits in here. You know, you've got bits coming in and out. They don't appear all the time. You see the choir. Sorry, let's go back here. So you're kind of like your incidentals, which is like this 3-note initial counter melody, only appears in this intro and then in the pre-A section as a kind of like a faded in muted kind of counter melody, and then I believe that's it. It doesn't come in anywhere else. So the choir is it's in the A section, and then it's in the B section, and then it stops. It doesn't appear in the mid break, and then it's back again all the way through. until the end. And again, the same thing with the brass, with the French horns, the tuba and the trombones. They only appear in the A section and the B section, not in the mid break, and again all the way through. Kind of everything reinforces itself. And then you can see that the basses don't appear. The bass doesn't appear. This 16th note pulse bass doesn't appear until the B section. Like I said, nothing about this is fixed. You can change whatever you want to, as you should. Because like I said before, this is just a foundation on which to build on, and is entirely up to you to interpret it however you want to. So in the next video, I will be starting, and I have to say, first thing I'm going to be doing is looking for a chord sequence, and then I'm going to build everything around that chord sequence. Okay, that's the end of the walkthrough for Epic Template number 1.
Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. In the next episode, we're going to be having a look at the basic chord structure of the song as well as the melody. We'll be programming some percussion, and then I'll also be introducing you to some of the instruments I use. If you're new to this channel and want to be notified the next time I upload a video, then please consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell. And if you have any comments, then please feel free to leave them down below. Thanks again, take care, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.